Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the GonzoEwok channel with just me, Gonzo, today for a brand new solo series. Today we are going to start a new series of RimWorld, again by Ludian Studios. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. It's been in early access on Steam, I think just over a year now. Game's been around for a few years, though it was previously available just through Tynan Sylvester's website. Fantastic little game. Personal highlight of mine for 2016 as well. Really enjoyed playing this. I think it was about Alpha 13 when I started playing, and just before Christmas Alpha 16 hit, which has brought some new changes. I haven't really played much of the game in the past couple of months, if I'm honest. As you'll have probably seen, there's been very little happening on the channel. You know, it's just been an absolute crazy year, certainly the last 6 months. So yeah, what we're looking to do is get 2017 started in style and get a new solo series going from me, hopefully one from Ewok, and I know later on this afternoon me and Ewok are meeting up so we can start recording some new Geordie Space program. So without further ado, what are we doing here? We are going to start a new colony, and for those who aren't familiar with RimWorld, RimWorld is basically a colony survival management sim game, if you like. You can see here we've got some different scenarios. We're just going to start with the very simple one, which has always been in the game, which is Crash Landed. Crash Landed means we've got 3 survivors. You can see that we've also got some resources here as well. So there's some food, there's medicine, we've got a couple of weapons, we've got some building resources as well. We'll have a random pet, that'll be nice. Everyone likes a little random pet. And then also on the map there'll be some other bits and pieces. Basically our spaceship has crashed, we're being dumped on this planet, and we've got to do what we can to survive. So, this episode's probably going to be just kind of getting the housekeeping taken care of, so generating the world, finding somewhere to land, and also working on our survivors. Survivors have different traits, they have different backgrounds. Here we see where we can choose different difficulty settings, but the survivors themselves will all have different traits that'll impact how they'll play out in the game, and some of those can really mess you up. So I like to not make things easy on myself, but I like to kind of cherry pick a little bit the survivors that I've got. The different difficulty levels that we've got here. We've got Cassandra Classic, as it says. She'll create story events on a steadily increasing curve of challenge and tension, which I think is a nice kind of vanilla way to play the game. If you want a nice relaxed kind of little time in RimWorld here, you can get your hands on Phoebe Chillax, and then you can just kind of relax and play the game, building up your colony, seeing how your colony will survive. You can still have some challenge as well, but generally a little bit more relaxed. And then you've got Randy Random. Might give you some really good luck, might also just kill you for the hell of it, completely random. We're going to play with Cassandra Classic. We're going to start, I'd say, kind of in the sort of challenging but not ridiculously hard side of things for RimWorld. As I said, I haven't played for a couple of months. I've hardly touched the latest alpha as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing some of these new features. I've read about them and been following development, but it will take us a little bit of time to get my eye in. I've never been a fantastic player of RimWorld, if I'm honest. But that being said, hopefully we can learn together, and if you guys are playing this, you've got some tips, you spot something that I'm doing wrong, or give us some ideas on what I can do with my colony as we get going with this, I'd love to hear them as well. That would be great. Either in the comments here, or, you know, we've got Facebook and Twitter you can get in touch with there. Right, we'll just random with seed. Georgette. Globe coverage. This is basically how much of the map it's going to generate. The maps are now on a globe. It used to just be a kind of a flat plane and you choose where you're landing. Now it actually generates an entire globe, and you can have a look around that planet. We'll keep normal rainfall and temperature, so we'll generate that. Might just take a little bit of time. If you're doing 100% coverage of the globe there, it can take a little bit of time to get the world kind of ready for you. So yeah, so Happy New Year everybody while we're waiting for this to load up. Things have been quiet on the channel, but I had a nice relaxing New Year with the wife and the kiddies. I know Ewok had a nice relaxing time with his missus as well by all accounts, and I hope whatever you've done, you've had a good one. I know most people are probably back to work by now. Actually, I took off the first week of January, so to be honest, ostensibly I'd get some recording done for you guys, because it's been bugging us like crazy that we haven't been able to get anything recorded for the channel. We did record some Kerbal Space Program. We did a couple of episodes of Geordie Space Program, and if you're looking at the channel, you'll have seen, you know, we have got a missing episode up. The audio was screwed up. I'm praying the audio's working with this, because I was getting some problems with my microphone just before we got things set up. I'll be well pissed off if I'm just talking in a quiet room and not even the microphone's listening. So here you can see we've got our lovely planet. and just spin that round and make everybody feel a bit motion sick. On the planet, you'll see there's settlements. Now, there's always been caravans and bands of pirates, tribes that can come to your settlement from time to time, but my understanding is here that we can actually form our own caravans in our colony, and we can now go and visit these different people, potentially attack them, potentially take over their settlements as well. So what I'm going to look for is not a ridiculously dodgy start. I don't want to start in like the middle of like a desert where I can't grow anything, because we'll die very quickly. Like, you know, conversely, don't want to start on the North Pole, because again, that's going to make things quite difficult. Personally, I quite like the start, and if you're new to the game, you can find sort of like grasslands or temperate forests tend to be quite nice. I personally like to start in arid shrubland. The main reason that I like to do it is generally you can find that you can get good periods of growing in arid shrubland. You can find a good selection of different rocks as well if we go to somewhere where there's maybe smaller large hills. So there we go, we've got large hills there, we've got year-round growing. You can see the average temperature will be about 25 degrees, so it's warm, but that's not crazy. Temperatures in the summer will get to about 29. We'll have really mild winters here. There'll be slate, granite and marble. A little bit higher up, and also you can see we've got a little tribal settlement here. We've got a couple of these pirate bands, the Suicidal Raptors, and then there's also the Confederacy of Hatanora. Bloody Nora, more like. But we've got a couple of little towns there. There's one over here as well, the Municipality by the Stream. How lovely. So what I'm thinking is probably this looks like an alright place to start. I'm personally looking for somewhere that's got large hills because I'm not sure if it's the Dwarf Fortress in us, but I like to actually build into the rock side to make my colonies. We could just find a nice flat bit of land and start building out a little homestead, but personally in the early game I like to start digging into rocks and starting to set up like a little bit of a kind of an underground base. You've got to be careful when you do that, because if you dig too deep into rocks, potentially you might find something in there that you don't want to find, i.e. giant murderous spiders. But I think it's a risk worth taking, and usually by the time you get attacked by the murderous spiders, you're usually quite well equipped. You've found some new colonists, you're maybe getting some armour, some decent weapons. So I'm thinking this sounds like a good place to start. We could random it, of course, but I'm not going to. So here we go. We've got our 3 settlers. So you'll see on the top, we've got Margarita, who's a shelter kid. That's her background, aged 18. We've got Lachi, who's a blood gamer. Blood game survivor. I'm assuming that's kind of a Hunger Game thing. I don't think I've seen that one before. Yeah, it's sort of a cross between the Hunger Games and Big Brother, which, to be honest, I think would actually improve Big Brother. And then we've got Harry, the paramedic, which is it's quite upsetting name for a paramedic, I'm sure. I'm not sure if I'd want somebody like that coming to us if I was in a car crash. So with each of these, what you'll see is you've got names. We'll probably just randomise these names. We can give them nicknames as well if we want. Every character has a backstory. Because Margarita here is only 18, she only has a childhood backstory, but if you're over the age of, I think it's 22, you'll also get an adult story, and you can see what that does is it'll give you some skills, give you a little bit of background. Some of these, if we flick through, here we go, we'll see that because Malachi here is a blood game survivor, he can't do any smithing, he can't do any tailoring, he can't do any crafting. That's not ridiculous, but some of these will stop you doing things like firefighting, or sometimes people think that manual labour is below them, so they'll not do any of your hauling. And of course, as I'm sure you're aware, one of the big tropes in these kinds of games is you need to find resources, collect the resources, and then gather the resources. And so anybody who doesn't do what they call dumb labour, but you know, any kind of manual labour, kind of pisses us off. You'll also see we've got skills here. So in the case of Malachi, very good at fighting in melee combat. Quite social. Also, you'll see these little flames. If you're not sure what they are, that means that these characters have got a passion for it. So that means that they'll increase and develop these skills a little bit quicker. Malachi here really enjoys construction, so even though he's only got a skill of 5 at the moment, he will ratchet that up very quickly because he's really passionate about doing it. So every time he's doing construction, he'll gain that skill and he'll be an expert in no time. You'll also see sometimes characters have different health conditions. One of the things that I really enjoy about this is all these different health conditions and injuries. It's not just a case of people have health bars. If somebody gets shot in the leg, there'll be a health thing there to say if they've got a gunshot wound in the leg. It'll cause problems with pain, might make them pass out. It'll also impact on how they can get around, and you've got to then go and fix them up. People can get dementia, people can get asthma, you know, the health system's really kind of deep and complex. It's particularly interesting during combat as well, and when we're starting to play, as you'll know when I'm playing these kind of games, I like to pause things a fair old bit. So there we go, we've got a bite scar and an old gunshot, for instance. But one of the things that's really cool about the combat is, and as you'll know, I like to pause games a lot. I like to see what's happening to my guys, but also I like to see if my guys are shooting at people, I like to see where they hit them and how much damage they're doing, which is probably a little bit voyeuristic, but it's all part of the fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to start randomising these characters until we get a nice little mix. I want somebody who's maybe good at construction, good at growing as well. We're going to try and grow our own crops. We'll need to do that in order to survive, and probably find somebody who's half decent at shooting as well, so they can maybe go out and do a little bit of hunting, kill some of the local animals, bring them back for food, and also defend well when we inevitably get attacked. So let's have a look. So Rosalind here is 64. I don't want to be ageist about this whole thing, but that's a little bit too old for me. She was frail, bad back, she'll not be around long. We want fairly fit and healthy survivors here. You'll also see, actually I didn't mention there, we've got traits. Sometimes traits are tied in with the backstory, and sometimes they're just randomly generated. So we've got things like Jordan here is trigger happy, which means that he's not as good at shooting, but he'll shoot quickly. Somebody who's volatile, they will be a little bit kind of highly strung, and there's a good chance that if stressful stuff's happening, they'll freak out, so they might wander off in a daze, they might go loco. You'll also see that characters can be related to each other, which is quite nice as well. The other day I did have somebody who was the daughter and lover of one of the other characters, so incest is a thing apparently in RimWorld. Yeah, I didn't run with that. I couldn't bring myself to do it. So, Vat-grown soldier. Makes people usually very good at combat, but these people are kind of bred for war. They're not very good at social, and as it says, can't do social, can't care for people. Not caring for people is a big deal, because inevitably people get sick and they get injured, and you know, if you can imagine you've only got one person who's a half-decent doctor, and then that person gets wiped out, that can be a very, very bad thing for your colony. So we'll keep flicking through here. Might take a little bit of time, and as I said, if we actually find the right mix of characters, we'll get set up on the planet, and then we'll probably bring this episode to a close. I want to keep them fairly short and punchy. What have we got here? A bit too young at 16. 43, good with animals, so taming animals. Could be okay. Not really good at much else. A lot of stuff that person can't do though, so no. Again, loads of stuff missing. Basically what I tend to do is when I'm randomising, I'll look first and foremost to see what they're capable of, and then if they haven't got anything that's a deal breaker, then I'll look at their skills and see where we'll go from there. You'll also notice this prepare carefully button. This is actually a mod that I downloaded because I'm working on my own custom scenario, and prepare carefully allows us to pick and choose these, either using a point system or just kind of cheating, I suppose, a little bit and choosing what you want. But for the purposes of this this series, I don't really want to do that unless I really have to. So I'd rather just use the randomize, see what we get coming up here. So 79, too old. Other thing that we'll look at, as well as what they're capable of, is how old they are as well. Because if somebody's really old, chances are they've got health conditions, and chances are they're not going to live very long. I mean, let's be honest, the way that I'll probably run my colony, they haven't got much of a chance of living very long anyway, but let's give them all the chances that we can. So we've got female colonist of new arrivals, Lumine LeBlanc. She's 37. Good at shooting, good at melee, probably due to her time as a bounty hunter. Not incapable of anything. She can do anything that we can put her mind to. She particularly enjoys combat. Cooking a 4. If people have a cooking skill that's below that, there's a chance that they're going to cook dodgy meals that are going to give people food poisoning. So it means she can help out around the kitchen when she's not shooting at stuff. She's interested in growing, not particularly good in it, but we could certainly level her up as we get working on crops. Also pretty decent at doing artistry as well, so maybe crafting stuff that people can then look at and enjoy. She's steadfast, which is handy, means she's less likely to break down and when she's stressed. And also she's sanguine, which just means that she's generally just a happy little camper. She's got asthma, so she is going to start using our medicine regularly, which could be a bit of a danger, but it's a chance, to be honest, I'm prepared to take. Got a stab scar on her left ear, that sounds a bit painful. So, Lumine LeBlanc, I'm quite liking her. Nickname Lumi, looks pretty funky with a little purple hair. That's our first character. We've got Lumine LeBlanc. Moving on, what have we got here? Aurora Viseri, medical assistant vet, can't do firefighting. A very good doctor though. Pretty good with animals as well. Pessimist, slothful, too smart, 45. Going out with Harry Sexton. Well, why wouldn't you with a name like that? Good old Harry the paramedic. I mean, that's all right. I mean, she's a good doctor, but maybe a little bit of a one-trick pony. We'll come back to her. Let's have a look. Now we've got Harry. We're getting rid of a fella. Sorry. Background soldier, Navy scientist. Research, there's also a research tree, so, you know, we'll get a research bench up and running, means we can unlock new technologies that'll help to develop our colony further. Incapable of caring and social. Gun kid. Just like shooting stuff, basically. He's a prostaphobe. There is bionic parts in the game. It is, you know, it's got that kind of Western sci-fi kind of Firefly sort of style. So yeah, body parts can get shot off, and you can replace them with bigger and better bionic parts if needs be. Yeah, I mean, 17, maybe a bit too young for this expedition kid. What have we got? What have we got? Incapable of intellectual and artistic. Pretty good at construction though. Got a passion for it. Will get better in time at doing medicine, which is a good backup. Also good at combat. Can't do research, can't do art, but we have got a pretty decent artist in Lumi. Good at construction though, which I'm liking. Steadfast, so again, won't break as much. Optimist, a little bit like Sanguine, you know, generally just a little bit in a better mood about stuff. Is lazy though, which means that they do everything a little bit slower, which is a bit annoying. No, we're not going to keep it. Sorry. Incapable of intellectual, so can't do research. She's a night owl, so it means that she's going to work better at night, which means that we then need to start trying to plan out rosters to really maximise people. Not too keen on doing that. What have we got? Decent at crafting. Alright at construction, alright at animals. Pretty decent all-rounder. He's an optimist. This is Adrian Bonnet. Teetotaler, so won't be bothered about drugs or alcohol, won't touch them. Has got an annoying voice, which means that other people generally don't tend to like them. Is going out with Lumi as well, so I have got a fella for Lumi here. 35. How old's Lumi? 37. That's okay. I was going to say if one's 19 years old and one's 75, we're kind of straying dangerously into Mick Jagger territory there. So, you know what? I'm going to keep him. I'm going to keep him. I quite like the idea of having this couple coming down on this planet. He was a scout, and then he became a message carrier. And while he can't do any art, and he can't do any research, he's got some general alright skills. I think he'll work okay. So, do we keep Aurora? We do need a decent medic. I think in time, Havoc here, Adrian Bonnet, he'll become a decent medic. But shorter term, could cause a little bit of a problem. What I'd like is somebody maybe who's decent at growing. Lumi will become okay at growing, but we'll kind of jump ahead a few until we'll get somebody half decent. So this guy was an Imperial student and worked in a poison garden. Is incapable of just about everything apart from cooking and growing. So can't do social, crafting, firefighting, can't do any cleaning, which is annoying, won't do any hauling, won't do any mining. Nah, sorry, that's I can't accept that. We need people, you know, I'll never take somebody who can't haul, frankly. It drives us nuts. Incapable of intellectual and firefighting, 58, spent most of our childhood in a coma, and then became a medieval farm oaf. Hard worker, so actually we'll pick up some of the slack from... Oh no, we got rid of that lazy character, didn't we? Sorry, Havoc, I was accusing you of being lazy there for a second. Hard worker, pessimist, pyromaniac. Pyromaniac's dodgy, will occasionally just start fires and won't put them out. But that being said, is a very good grower, has a lot of passions and different skills. Only thing she can't do is research. Fairly old. You know what, I'm going to run the risk. It'll be sod's law that, you know, she'll grow a lovely field of, you know, corn or something, then set it on fire and burn half the colony down. Is a little bit older than I'd like, but I think Yuka Schroeder here, Schroeder, the oaf, I think that should work out fairly well. So, We're going to start with these characters. We're just playing on a standard size map, so it'll not be massive. We'll see how it'll look. Should be enough on a medium-sized map to get us started. So here we go. The three of you awake in your cryptosleep sarcophagi to the sound of sirens and ripping metal. You barely get to the escape pods before the ship is torn apart. Sometime later you land on this unknown RimWorld, and as pieces of the starship fall around you, you begin making plans to survive. So, let's just see them come down here. And there they are. I'm going to pause this game here. We've now got Lumi, Havoc and Schroeder. These are our three survivors. And in the next episode, we're going to start gathering up the resources that you see there. We're going to start looking around this map and seeing if we can make the start of our colony. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Let us know in the comments how you're finding this so far. I know that I tend to talk fairly quickly when I haven't got Ewok here to interrupt us, so if that needs to slow down, please let us know. It is just me general speed of talking. I tend to make my mouth go without actually thinking about what I'm saying as well. Oh, there's elephants. We've got elephants. Oh, look at the meat on them. Alright, okay, right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Guys, I'm going to stop this recording for the time being. We'll be back probably in a few days with another episode. If you've enjoyed it, of course, you can hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, you can as well. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.